Yes, a beautiful Tuesday morning to all of you out there. It's still the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abekta. Indeed, we are the voice of the people. Citizens Forum this morning. Dele Ayodo is my name.
And I am Chenya Igwong. Good morning.
All right, yes, we'll be talking election matters this morning. Well, not direct election matters, but issues that has to do with the election process. Obviously, that is the process in which we enthrone those who govern us, those who lead us, either as executive members or as lawmakers at all levels. We've always complained about the fault and brawls in elections in Nigeria, and that the constitution itself is faulty, and that is why we have continuously have faulty elections. The process of amending the Electoral Act was first done in 2010. I suppose, yes. And then now we have another fresh amendment. Definitely, constitutional amendment is a continuous process. You cannot, in one jiffy, change every provision of that constitution. So, what normally the standard form is to pick relevant ones, the ones that has immediate impact and effect, and you change or what we call amended. That's what the Senate did a couple of days ago with the 2011, yes, 2011 electoral law. And salient areas were touched. These, the senators or some politicians have been talking about as to the propriety, the advantages or necessity of these laws as amended by the Nigerian Senate.
Okay, let's quickly take the highlights. We have this very first one. There shall now be full biometric accreditation of voters with smart card readers and or other technological devices as INEC may introduce for elections from time to time. And two, presiding officers must now instantly transmit accreditation data and results from the polling units to various collation centers. And the presiding officer who contravenes this shall be imprisoned for at least 5 years with no option of fine. And moving to the next one, all presiding officers must now first record accreditation data and polling results on INEC's prescribed forms before transmitting them. The data result recorded must be the same with what they transmitted. INEC now has unfettered powers to conduct elections by electronic voting. Besides manual registers, INEC is now mandated to keep electronic registers of voters. And six, INEC is now mandated to publish voters' registers on its official websites for public scrutiny at least 30 days before a general election. And any INEC staff who is responsible for this but fails to act as prescribed shall be liable on conviction to 6 months imprisonment. 7. INEC is now mandated to keep a national electronic register of election results as a distinct database or repository of polling unit by polling unit results for all elections conducted by INEC. 8. Collation of election results is now mainly electronic, as transmitted unit results will help to determine the final results on real-time basis. And 9. INEC is now mandated to record details of electronic materials, the quantities, the serial numbers that are used to conduct elections for proper tracking. And moving to the next one, a political party whose candidate dies after commencement of an election and before the declaration of the result of that election now has a 14-day window to conduct a fresh primary in order for INEC to conduct a fresh election within 21 years of the death of the party's candidate. 11. Political parties' polling agents are now entitled to inspect originals of electoral materials before commencement of election, and any presiding officer who violates this provision of the law shall be imprisoned for at least 1 year. No political party can impose qualification or disqualification criteria and the measures or conditions on any Nigerian for the purpose of nomination for elective offices except as provided in the 1999 Constitution. And we have 13 on the list. The election of a winner of an election can no longer be challenged on grounds of qualification if the he who is the winner satisfy the applicable requirements of Section 65, 106, 131, or 177 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and he is not as may be applicable in breach of Sections 66, 107, 137, or 182 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, for example. A person's election cannot be challenged on the ground that he did not pay tax, as this is not a qualifying condition under the Constitution. All members of political parties are now eligible to determine the ad hoc delegates to elect candidates of parties in indirect primaries. The capacity of party executives to unduly influence or rig party primaries has been reasonably curtailed, if not totally removed. 15. Parties can no longer impose arbitrary nomination fees on political aspirants. The bill passed prescribed limits for each elective office as we have them. 1. 150,000 naira for a ward councillorship aspirant in the FCT. 250,000 naira for an area council chairmanship aspirant in the FCT. And we have 500,000 naira for a House of Assembly aspirant, 1 million naira for a House of Representative aspirant, 2 million naira for a senatorial aspirant, 5 million naira for a governorship aspirant, and 10 million naira for a presidential aspirant. And 16. Relying on the powers of the National Assembly in paragraph 11 or part 2, the concurrent legislative list of the second schedule, that's the legislative powers, to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. The Senate also passed measures reforming procedures that are regulating the local government elections. The state independent electoral commissions can no longer conduct elections that do not meet minimum standards of credibility. And lastly, any INEC official who disobeys a tribunal order for inspection of electoral materials shall be imprisoned for 2 years without an option of a fine.
All right, that's a beautiful one, Chanya. Thank you so much for taking us through a whole lot of it. Really, we may not be able to exhaust everything, but we'll try and pick out the ones that we think is salient. We'll continue with this some other time. But to do this with us, we have somebody who has participated in the process of election, a politician, and in fact, a lawmaker. Let me welcome to the program Representative Razak Odunton. Yes, Razak Odunton is representing Yewa North 2 in the State House of Assembly. Yewa North 2. In the Ogun State House of Assembly. We also expect the representative of the Unity Party of Nigeria to join us together. We'll look at this as it affects our election, as it affects our politicians, and it affects you as a voter. We've often said this, there are so many Nigerians out there who believe that until we get the process of electing our leaders right, that is when we begin to have our institutions beginning to move in the right direction. Honorable Ruton, let's begin to pick some of these areas. Let's start from electronic voting. First, I'm sure the Senate National Assembly probably thought of amending this as a result of the various court judgments where we know that many of those who challenged the results lost on the ground of the card reader, who challenged results on the ground of a card reader, and lost that because the judges says the constitution does not recognize those machines. Yeah. And now they are bringing them in. First, do you think this is a right step, putting into consideration the level of literacy of Nigerian voters?
Thank you. Good morning, listeners at home. My name is Honorable Dr. Razak. I'm representing UNO2 constituency in Ogun State House of Assembly. Electronic voting, yes. I think it is just an amendment of, as you have already pointed out, that it's just a further way of enhancing the way we vote in Nigeria. But I think there are a lot of things we have to consider before we take this up. Like, the majority of voters in Nigeria reside in rural areas, and I don't know how much education they have given to them before they came up with this idea of total electronic voting. We tried the card readers last time; it failed us, and I don't think there has been any excuse me improvement on that up to date to warrant this the passage of this. I think before the passage of this, I think a lot of sensitization must have been done, because people in the rural area, like I'm from a rural area in Ogun State, and when you look around in the interlands here, I don't know how you want to do it. There are no facilities there that can just assist the electoral officers to make sure that they transmit, because the way they are talking about is that electoral vote transmitting it immediately to the centers for collation. I think it's as good as it is. It has the other side that we have to look into before we now get this thing started. So it's like we are taking it from the middle. What is supposed to do, we left that one undone, and we are doing things. We are rushing because of the 2019 election to make sure that we. But if we don't do the needful, well, I don't think we are going to get it right.
When you say we are rushing, yes, the fact is it is the opinions of political scientists and watchers of this democracy that preparation for next election should start immediately after the last election.
Yes, I agree.
And that is what this Senate is doing. Again, some people will say it is an opportunity for government to develop the system. I understand what you are trying to say. What you are trying to say, the level of illiteracy
Yes,
within
right.
voter. But look at it this way. I don't know how many of my listeners knows this area I want to mention, but I know you will know in Yewaland. Take for instance an area called Owo, Yewa South local government. Alari, Ipokia local government, or Mahun, still in Ipokia local government.
Yes.
Let's look at Ketu Adiewe in Adodota local government. These are real rural areas. Is it this provision, is it not an opportunity for government to develop these areas, provide light for them, which I think they don't have, provide computer centers, even for the adults training, and then use one stone to kill two birds?
Yeah. Yes. The way it is, I think what I'm trying to say in essence is that there's nothing wrong in electronic voting. It's a shift from what we used to do to the new order. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that, as I've really pointed out, there are even more areas that are rural than the areas you have just mentioned. And what I'm saying is that what are the provisions that have been made for these people to be aware of this thing? Or we don't have any timetable, we don't have anything yet. I have not seen anything done. We are just, the INEC is just trying to adjust this one to suit whatever program they have. But I'm saying
no, this is not INEC speaking. This were made by lawmakers who are also politicians. They will benefit, or they have benefited from this process.
Yeah, that's what I'm exactly trying to say. That what I'm saying in essence is that there must be this education. You talk about light, you talk about the computer center and all those things that should be made for our people before. I think all these things supposed to have been on ground before this law is passed, because normally you cannot just place the car before the horse. I think what they're supposed to do is to make sure, we are talking Ogun State. Ogun State is even better. When you go to the north, you see a worst situation, and average Ogun indigene can at least read in between the line. We have areas in Nigeria where they don't know from. I'm sorry to put it this way, that they are not as developed as we are here. So all these people has to be taken into consideration. The democracy we are into is about the people, and I think we should not just limit to the elite alone. That is exactly my own concern about this thing. I'm not saying what they have done is totally wrong, but what I'm trying to say in essence is that they are supposed to have built some lay down things that you can just build upon to make sure that at the end of the day, this thing we get the required result. But the way it is now, if all these electronic things we are talking about, how many of our people in those area mentioned can just know? So they are just at the mercy of electoral officers on the day of election. That is my own concern about this. It's not about that we cannot throw the water away with the baby away with the bath water. But what I'm trying to say is that there are more to be done than starting the way it has decided. They are going
Now,
now.
the other another area is the issue. Chenya will take us through what the constitutional provision is saying about who is qualified to contest, which we know is one area in which party and politicians have used to
Yeah.
scuttle and then create crisis. A senator from Cross River Akwa Ibom, Senator Albert, was just qualified. We know how well many people benefited from saying this is a wrong candidate. Kogi State lost two senators as a result of that when the contender said no, they were not properly elected, even at the primaries. But the new electoral act wants to cancel the powers of the political leaders now. Again, I said, Chen is scrolling to you. Would tell us what the constitution is saying about who qualified. But before then, let's look at another area that concerns political parties
Yeah.
directly, the leaders and people like you, direct or indirect primaries. What does that mean?
Well, direct or indirect primaries. I think all these things is a process of a candidate emerging. Depends on people that are holding this in the party leaders and other people that are bringing this issue of direct or indirect primaries. I think to me, if a candidate is qualified to contest an election, we should just put in on the spot to make sure that okay, all if fulfill all the necessary rules and regulations that is guiding that position. But if to me that it's a way of electing, I mean, for a candidate to emerge at the end of the day. But what I'm trying to say is that if you have direct or indirect primaries to me, it's just it's not a clear process to me of a leader emerging. I mean, a candidate emerging because normally um, there was this optioning for sometimes during the Babangida
In
era
the
to show
90s.
yes in the 90s that is the type of things we also will be doing at the when we want to a leader to
Your
emerge.
primaries.
Let people that want this person to be their candidate queue behind him and say, okay, these are the people supporting him. But in these days, some people just go and sit down somewhere and say, okay, they say you can sit down in Abeokuta and say, okay, in Igbo Coffee in my village there, this is person that is going to be the councillorship candidate. So and this is not going to help us. At the end of the day, what we get is that people that are elected at the end of the day are not really part of the grassroots.
Sorry, I still don't understand that. For the purpose of those who are listening, what is this provision saying when they said political parties should uh, observe the direct or indirect primaries to choose candidates? Direct to some people will mean leaders sit down, like we just said, and say, because this new provision is giving them the final power. Whoever the party has chosen can no longer be faulted in the court.
Yeah.
That's what you say. Nobody can go and say no. This person, I am the one who scored the highest number of votes at the primaries. It would no longer be possible. So, is that what direct primaries means?
So, okay, I think what this provision is trying to say is that combination of the two. Maybe when the leaders sit down at their own level and choose a candidate, I mean, a candidate or two. So maybe they reduce, normally we have so many people wanting to contest for a position. Maybe if there are five, six, there's going to be a criteria the leaders will use to reduce it to a certain number. Then they now throw maybe two, three of those people they now two, three of those people out to the people now to choose out of the minimum number they have. And like I have already pointed out, this is going to help a lot because normally these injunctions here and there, court today, court tomorrow, will be taken out of the system and it's going to help the system. If eventually a candidate emerge through a process that everybody is part of, and at the end of the day, that candidate cannot be faulted. I think it's going to help the system as it were. So I agree with them that both the leaders sitting down somewhere at their level, they know themselves, they know who is doing what, they know who can represent an area that can make an impact in an area. They know everything, and so they can just sit down and say, okay, out of these 3 to 4 people, and don't forget, in Nigeria we have this zoning thing in areas where, okay, like from my constituency now, we have areas where we soon. My predecessor is from an area, I am from another area now. Tomorrow, if it is the turn of the other side, and I say I want to contest, immediately the leaders can immediately tell me, okay, it's not going to, you have used your own position, go and sit down. It has to be somebody from the other side.
Let's look at maybe some inside thinking
Yeah.
of these people. Where some people will have heard them say, again, these are elite, our leaders have come again, self first. Uh, this is as a result of their own experience. For instance, we all know the running battle Governor Ikpeazu faced in Abia from his own political party, the person who came next to him. We all know how Rotimi Amechi also became governor, and then the case between him and Omeha, and several instances like that. And that this is the bitterness these lawmakers are bringing forward into constitutionality to make it legality. Is it not again a selfish move by these leaders, political leaders?
I don't think. You see, this our democracy is just we are growing. We are growing, and when we are learning from the past mistakes. For instance, let us look at what happened in Kogi the last time when after election somebody died and the elected governor died.
That has not been taken care of.
Yes, it has not been taken care of. That's why I said this amendment is still in order. We only have to at least do some cross some T's and dot the I's to make sure that it works perfectly. It is not easy. We learn from our past mistakes, and it is a process. Other countries, developed countries today, like America and other European countries, they started from somewhere. And I want to assure you, we are also moving towards it. When you look at the last election in Nigeria, compared to those in the past, I think we see that there's it's a gradual improvement in what we had in the past. And all these laws are made. You see, if we cannot correct the mistake of the past in the present laws that we're making, it means we are not learning. So that is why I will agree that, okay, what is there? It's not about greediness. It's about, because leader today, nobody can be leader permanently. Whatever law you made, some people are coming behind to believe where you are today. You whether elected, appointed, or whatever position you are occupying, somebody is going to be there tomorrow. So whatever law you make, that law is still going to apply to those people coming behind you. And I think what they are trying to do in essence is that to make sure that, yes, we have seen these mistakes. This thing has happened, and we have to learn from it. Let us correct it, and it is ongoing thing. It is not going to be the end of this amendment of a thing.
Now, I'm sure Chenya is ready to take us through what the Constitution says about who qualifies. So it will no longer be the party now or the leaders coming out with some criteria and to disqualify some people. Do we have what the Constitution is saying?
Okay, we have for those sections I read out. For section 66. For section 66, we have it under qualification for membership of National Assembly and right of attendance. And for section 66, we have it as disqualifications. And then for 107, we have it as disqualifications as well. And then for section 137, we have it as disqualification too. And for section 182, it's also disqualification.
Okay, we get section 66,
yes.
We talks about qualification for the National Assembly, because once you are qualified to be in the National Assembly, you are qualified to be a governor, you are also qualified to be a president.
Yes. Okay, so for section 65, we have it as qualifications for election. For 106, we have it as qualifications for elections. And for 131, section 131, we have it as election. We have it as election of the F. That's what we have here. Election of the people. Okay, then for 171, we have it as presidential election. That's under the public service of the Federation.
Okay. One particular thing of interest, political parties will introduce payment of taxes, evidence of payment of your tax, which I think signifies or confirms the fact that that person is a responsible citizen.
Yeah.
So if an amendment is taking that power away, Do you think this is right?
Well, I think
Because as it is now, you said no. If that the constitution did not say state so,
yeah,
then with the constitution did not say, then don't bring that in. Because this
yes,
has been
yes.
used to weed out so many people.
Yeah, thank you. We cannot on our own determine some things outside the constitution that is guiding us. And no matter how as good as anything,
What is peculiarity then? For you just talk about zoning,
yeah,
which brings comfort, which solves some provision,
yeah,
which is a necessity,
yeah,
which was necessitated as a result of experience.
that's right, yes.
So
Yes, what I'm trying to say in essence is that every zone, every area in Nigeria have a way of at least resolving issues surrounding who occupies which position. But in respect of this issue of tax we are talking about, though as good as it is that okay, it's going to show that you are a responsible citizen of this state, this and that. But what they are saying is that this tax, if you know the way they handle this tax issue, when it comes to issue of election, people will be running from pillar to post. Somebody that is want to contest, want to serve your community as a councillor, and they say, okay, you the tax of somebody that is farm farm in my area, in my village, and you say, okay, because the community said go and represent us, and you now say if this person don't show his 3 years tax, whatever,
I think that makes you responsible. The fact that you are self-employed, they don't mean you should not pay tax.
yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
if you are not paying, because I know that being a member of any society,
Yeah,
part of what makes you a fit member is your financial responsibility to
definitely,
that society.
definitely, I
So
agree. Into
if you cannot come up with evidence of paying tax, should you be qualified to benefit from states
oh,
like this?
yes, I thank you. Is the way we are looking at it. I'm not saying. I think any society, even in advanced countries, they use tax to even develop. And even Ogun State, for instance, what we earn as a allocation cannot take us anywhere. It has been internal generated revenue that is helping the government to do what they are doing. What I'm trying to say in essence is that we should not just make this a condition to people that at a point maybe well, at least they are paying their taxes. I'm not saying they are not paying their taxes, but how the process of even getting this tax clearance in Nigeria today, how easy is this?
And that is because you politicians wait till when you need it before you rush and pay 5 years tax in arrears. Yes, in arrears.
For instance, I have been in the civil service. I left the civil service in December 2013, and I pay my tax up to that point, and I have evidence of payment before.
There are politicians who have never worked for government. In fact, you know that in Nigeria, the only group of people who willingly, comfortably pay tax are those who work for government.
You see, for instance, in Ogun State today, what we are trying to do is that to get data based off the even factories in Ogun State are yet to be captured in the database. Talk less of individual business people. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that I don't want us to leave the issue of paying tax for this election thing. What I'm trying to say in essence is that yes, it is good to show to pay your tax, but I am also supporting that it's not supposed to be because at least it's not even part as good as it is. It's not in a constitution, and as a result of that, but as beautiful as it is, I don't think it should be part of the condition for any political party to at least deny anybody from contesting election.
Okay, we'll get the opinion of our listener whether they also do support that. Well, as the new provision is saying, this should not be a compulsory thing. But at least we are moving somewhere using the experience we have to change positively our society. Now, in all of this, Honorable Duton, where are you seeing any power being handed over to the people? Because the people is the active word in democracy.
Thank you. Sincerely speaking, I just have to put it straight. Democracy, as it was defined, government of people, for the people, by the people. I would say it is government of people, by the few, and for the few. I'm sorry to put it this way. I'm a politician, but
you are an elite.
And I'm elite too. What I'm trying to say.
Part of.
Yes, I am. Okay. I am. But you see, we cannot get there one day. But what is happening now? You see, if there is no check and balances is not if, as it is pronounced. For instance, I mean, we have legislators that we don't have autonomy. We cannot stand on our own. For instance, if tomorrow is anybody say, okay, go and if the excellency do something that, okay, how are we going to? It's like a child abusing his father in the morning, and in the evening say that, father, I want to eat. Come and give me food. I think we should. Everybody know what is going to be the response of such father until we separate.
Give him cane.
Cane instead of fire. So that's so we have to separate these things, the chaff from the grains. We have to make sure that every institution stand on their feet. And for instance, the attack on legislators, you should know. I'm sorry, legislators is the youngest. All along in the military, whatever, we always have the executive, we have the judiciary. It has been this legislature that have been absent all the while. But everything now come back to legislator. Let me tell you, for instance, I'm sorry to bring in this. A minister, because when people are now, I'm sorry, it's part of what we are discussing. A minister, because I've seen it, a minister will have a fleet of 10, 15 cars. A legislator will be requesting for only one car, and everybody will start abusing them. And I think what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And that is why we have to, if, like, for instance, the legislators at the state levels are given freedom as it's supposed to be, they can pay their bill, they can do a lot of things on their own. I think it is not, they can easily stand and face any erring governor anywhere in the country that, okay, this is not right and this is not good for the system. But today, I think the people are more, we gradually have to start bringing the people into this system, because normally what is happening now, we are not there yet. We are not there yet. We are not there yet.
Okay, we have listed literacy level as being one of the problems or one of the challenges concerning this electronic voting system.
Yes.
What other problems can we quickly highlight?
Oh yes. There are literacy level. That is the major factor that is that we have to be taken care of before this electronic voting. Because if you don't know what to do, somebody that has not even seen computer before, you'll be surprised that so there are some people that have not even handled computer before. You see, and if on the day of election somebody just come around and say, okay, just press this one, you don't know what you are pressing, you don't really know what you are doing. So I think this is one major. There are other challenges that we can think of, like
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Let me tell you, if we vote during rainy season in my area, there are areas we call like Igbo Coffee. There are boundaries there between Nigeria and Benin Republic. There is no way you can get to those areas.
No.
And anything they bring from that place, somebody can just see that it's an area that there is no access road at all. And for instance, there's a federal government presence when they want to do, there's an area there where they're supposed to at least have access road to that point. But no, that is one example out of a lot. So
Okay, and also going by the name electronic voting system, did they consider power supply? We know the epileptic power supply in Nigeria. We know what it is. Electricity is also important. And then when we also talk about network issues, because
yes,
for electronic, we have to have a network to be able to access these details.
you are speaking my mind. You see, it is a very lot of, it is a very big challenge.
So are you saying this will not be achievable? Electronic voting system will not be achievable?
If all the necessary facilities are not put in place, I'm afraid, because I'm speaking my mind. I'm afraid if if there's no access road to a place, if there's no light in a place, and we have voting centers, out of the number of voting centers we have in Nigeria, how many areas that we can see, even in Abeokuta here, there are areas in Abeokuta that's 2-3 days they don't have light. If it is during this election time that there's no light in those areas, what are they going to do? So what I am saying is essence is that what's supposed to be done must be done before we are introducing things that is going to just mess up the old thing we have been doing before. When you look at this e-readers card we used the other time, there were problems everywhere, and people are doing. You see, they say he who pay the
Yes,
The
play the
piper
piper.
they
the time
get
to
to
take the
tune.
tunes. Is it that also lead us to the autonomy of the INEC itself or independent of INEC itself? I'm of the opinion that INEC must be truly independent. It must be truly independent. So
Is
that,
it not independent as well? They get their charges first line,
yeah,
and then the chairman, the national chairman of the body, is the chief executive officer.
who appointed?
Well, how should he be appointed then? Should the INEC chairman
What
be
we are saying,
elected?
when I was coming this morning, I was listening to this issue of CBN and the Minister of
Yes, finance.
Finance. You see, when we are talking about independence, yes, I'm of the opinion that central banks should be allowed to stay the way they are because it is a professional thing. It is people. It is a different.
But it is still government who appoint the central bank governor,
Yes,
and he's showing his autonomy as we speak.
yes.
So don't you think it is the person,
That really
the
matter.
individual? Yes.
Yes. But let me tell you, we are all human beings. We are all human beings, and let me tell you this: we have our interests somewhere hidden. We cannot say you are neutral.
Will you not say the guy was at least in Nigerian context neutral, independent?
When we are talking
Professor
about
Jega.
when we are talking about neutrality, you talk about you are referring to a person, an individual that is in Abuja. You see, you don't talk about those people that are surrounding that person. You don't talk about somebody that will be in Ogun State here. You don't talk about somebody that will be in my own local government at Ayetoro. You see, what we are saying is that if truly these people are independent, if they cannot be, who, tell me, in Ogun State, who will a electoral officer in Ayetoro be loyal to?
So his conscience, that's
So
what it should be.
he's supposed to be loyal to his conscience. But is that the situation now? Is that the situation now?
Okay, quickly, the card reader has been seen as a rigging tool. Then why still have it for elections? And then what is the possibility of curbing manipulations when we have the electronic voting system?
But to me, I'm speaking my own mind. The card reader thing, well, I will support us if the INEC is ready for it. I think I will support it. It's a shift from the past level that the way we have been doing it before. And I think if they can get it right, I believe the card reader thing, if it is well tested, and the problem is this: they must make more provision for. It's not that in a polling booth, if they have two or three, if one is not working, the other one will be working. So, but in a situation where in a polling booth, in a center, you just make provision for one, and at the end of the day, that won't become faulty. I think anything can develop fault at any point in time. But if there's an alternative for that one, feeling the one we did last time, feeling the from this, from that, before is just mere wasting of time. We saw what happened in America that time. People have been voting even before the day of the final election. And I think why I'm supporting this card reader thing is that it's going to help us if there are provision and if the people that are there, that's why I'm talking about this independent of a thing. If they are honest and sincere and they are doing their job and they are not being manipulated by politicians that have their remote control, so to say. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that freedom is not yet there. I mean, the independence.
Honorable Tutor, I like the use of the word if they are not being manipulated by politicians at the spot. This present amendment has given INEC
Yeah.
that power to determine the situation depending on what is on ground. He has the right to either change it from electronic to manual, depending on the situation, which has taken care of what we are talking about. But you are skeptical of, scared about the influence of the politicians, which is the person we have been talking about. How can we have the constitution deal with this situation? Because I have opportunity with that. I want to ask you that which other area that you think is very germane important to a successful election that has not been captured here? Because some people have also talked about dealing with politicians who manipulate, who rig elections, which have not been specific in this amendment.
Thank you, my brother. What I'm trying to say next is this. There are areas. I see. There's always room for improvement in anything we do. And that is why I said it ab initio that this amendment should not be just thrown away just like that. There are areas where we can just take in, there are areas we can just try to adjust further. Like in those days, things that I think the government should start doing is just educating the people. In those days, we have this master. So we have people, I mean, going to the rural area, telling people, okay, like this one now we are discussing about, we are yet to even have the details. This is what the highlight we have here. Even that we people at the center here. What about those people in the villages? Who is going to tell them, okay, this is happening now. When the election is coming, this is what they are going to do. So the government need to do more in educating the people in the rural area and making sure they have infrastructure, access road, they have electricity, they have a lot of things so that is going to aid a free and fair election.
All right, yes, at this junction, we will have to take a break for the national news to come up at 10 o'clock. After that, Honorable Razak Odunto, member representing Yewa North 2 State Constituency in the Ogun State House of Assembly, will still be with us. We are looking at the new amendment into the Electoral Act, process that is expected to be used for 2019. At least some people have also said it should be used for elections in Anambra, Ekiti, and Osun before the 2019 election. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. 1.9 FM in the city of Abeokuta, the voice of the people. Citizens Forum this morning, trying to x-ray, sensitize, maybe educate you on the new electoral law, the amendment 2017. That's the way it's going to be called. A lot of clauses have been changed, a lot of new things introduced into it. Basically, the highlights, the high points of it, it has to do with the electronic voting. Results will be transferred electronically. Interesting. Uh, from Avigi to the center here in Abeokuta, you can sit down and watch the way people have voted in Avigi rather than waiting for the materials to be carted into the canoe. In the case of Tongeji, to Ijofin, from Ijofin to Ipokia, Ipokia, Ilaro, Abeokuta, and we wait for about 3 days before the results come in. That maybe that will solve it. This present transmission, electronic transmission. That's one of the highlights. And of course, the so-called political leaders will no longer have the powers to disqualify any candidate. Ditto, the court will no longer be disqualifying anybody as a result of issues with the party primaries. Once the constitutional provisions, as mentioned in section 66, 102, 108, and other sections, have been met. These are some of the points. That's what we have been looking at on the Citizens Forum. And we have as our guest a lawmaker, politician, member representing Yewa North 2 of the State House of Assembly, Razak Odunto. Quickly, we will be throwing the lines open. I believe some of you have sent your messages via the SMS and the Twitter handle. But before Chenya reminds you of what those numbers are, let me quickly reiterate it that we will not take insult or abuse on any individual personality as you make your comments. We don't have to agree with each other's position. Just drop your own position and let's move ahead. This is very important. Maximum of 2 minutes will be kept for each caller, and ensure that you are far away from where your radio is, or better still, just have it switched off.
Okay, let's get it. The numbers are 0909 146 9670 or 0809 868 7344. The Twitter handle at Rock City FM. The short code dial 32120. Just type rock, you leave a space, type your question, your contribution, include your name, and then you send it to 32120. The Facebook fan page, Rock City 101.9 FM.
So, who is there? Who goes first? Hello?
Morning.
Yes, morning.
Morning, Daily. Morning, my sister. Morning, Honorable.
Good morning, ma'am.
This is Coyote Olumide from Abeokuta. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I've had you in the first half of this program,
Yes.
spoken very well, sir.
Thank you.
But the only good thing that could happen to our electoral process is to shun tradition. And what do I mean? The usual convention of voting our leaders into power. We need to eradicate it, and that is exactly the courageous explorers. Even though, or although I hate this assembly, the National Assembly, because they are not doing what is supposed to be done for the people. But then I give it to them.
Yeah.
I am saying this because we need quality election, which is the key to a prosperous and peaceful life and nation.
Right,
the old things are past, so the tradition of using things, things like talks, and to disturb the election processes will have gone.
Yeah.
It will have been the past, the things of the past. Behold, returning officers also, let me tell you, given those developments of laws that were read just now before the news, you will see that these people have really done their work. And I believe if all these things are spelled out like this, then these people will stand out and be their best. On the issue of followers, we need to sensitize, and then seminars, radio jingles, and TV networking programs must go around now, so that we will not remain in the puddle of failures any longer. On electricity, sir, let me go straight. Whether we like it or not, each state should begin to generate their own electricity now. Let them go back to the old western, eastern regions when we use coal, we use all these types of things to generate electricity. Then in our villages,
approaching
we must be able to buy enough generators for them. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
All right, cool. Generating electricity 2017. Good morning.
Let me go straight to the point, sir. I'm a bit worried about this issue of tax and the way you were defend it. And I can't see the morals in someone who is not a taxpayer to come in. And then when you become a senator, when you become a governor, you tell us that we should pay a tax. I don't see how you can marry that to. What is IGR? Tax, and tax. And anybody who has not paid his tax should not be allowed to contest. I suspect that there is something fishy about this tax. Maybe you people don't pay tax. Because every Nigerian is trying to pay tax. Market woman, if the market woman can pay tax, I don't see why people, whether they are out government or inside government, cannot pay tax. So that to me is a bit curious why they should insert that one inside. And I don't know. And number two, sir, the issue of this card readers, people are not educated in the villages, people cannot read. How did they vote in previous elections, sir? That's the question. Despite the fact that they could not, they don't know what to do, they don't see, they can't do this. How did they vote? Because this is an attempt to try and improve the electoral process. And we talk of inaccessible areas of Nigeria. How did they manage? We want to improve it. The issue of network to me is not tenable, because even in America, there are some areas in America that don't have network for GSM. I hope people know that it's not every area in America which has coverage, but they still, if 99% of the people can have access to it, then that's it. Oh, these people don't know where to press.
Dr. Do you think we have that high number of people who have access to electronics?
The percentage of people.
Voters.
No, I'm not suggesting that, really, because even in the Federal Medical Center, we don't even receive Roxy very well anymore. I agree. But all the same, we should invest more in improving those things rather than trying to say it should not go on before not making all their problems. But we should invest more. We shouldn't be talking about the disease at this age again in Nigeria, 21st century, Ghana of Africa, and what have you. We should not be talking of that. This is because we have not done what we are supposed to do. Sir, also, you were talking of freedom of legislators. They don't have freedom. Sir, there is no freedom in the world, though. Every freedom is within the limits of the law. When freedom is outside the limits of the law,
approaching 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll take more calls. You will react. Let's just add them more calls so that we have a good number of people the opportunity to call. Good morning.
Thank you. Mr. Kayode Olumide, I just have to say thank you, and I think I agree with most of the issues raised here. Then to Dr. Nkom, I did not say people should not pay tax, and I said it that tax is the one that is driving Ogun State as it were now, because what we have as IGR is too low to carry out the governance of the state, and everybody must pay tax. But to put it as condition for anything that is not in our constitution should be foreign, should not be included in our electoral process. That is the point I'm trying to make in respect of that. And the card reader issue that you raised, yes, card reader. What I'm saying in essence is that I did not say that we should not use card reader, but I said my experience last time was that in every polling booth there must be provision. What I'm trying to say is that there must be provision for more card reader in a polling booth than one, so that if one have what, they can easily switch to the other. So that is exactly the point I'm trying to make in respect of that. To Mr. Benson, yes, you thank God you have been to my area, you have been to Ojado, you have been to Ilaro, and you are acquiring land. It's a good thing. And as a lawmaker, I think it's not it is in Nigeria that the job of a lawmaker is to make law, and it is for the executive to just implement whatever laws that we have made. But it's in our system that at a point we expect the lawmakers to
give us 10-lane road.
So that we must now come and be provision, grid rules, provide wares and the rest of them. I think it's not really the job of a lawmaker, but the system we are playing, I think we'll get there at one day. Yes. To Mr. Gafar Olusegun, yes, the cause of the problem of, I think I just have to let everybody know that the position I'm trying to make is that we must improve on whatever we are doing. Electronic voting is an improvement in what we are doing before. But I said we must get prepared, we must do things, we must mobilize our people, we must educate them before we now start introducing it. Because if you don't do that, there's tendency that most of the votes will be faulted. Or the voters will be at the mercy of whoever is handling the machine. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. But I have to thank everybody that have called that. Yes, it is just a learning process, and I believe by God's grace we'll get there one day. Thank you.
Okay, we have this message here on our short good dial. The Senate has done a great job with regards to the series of provisions as contained in the proposed amendments of the Electoral Act. These are fantastic provisions that will help to sanitize our electoral system. However, my fear is centered around the provision on electronic voting, the collation and transmission. I do not think we are ripe for electronic anything at this moment. In fact, the electoral officers are oftentimes jittery and they are not well trained. Some of them could not even handle the card readers effectively, and we're now talking about electronic whatever. I'm afraid. That's from Oyloyede Ismail. Then we have this tweet here, Surakat Abiodun. Please, I want to ask the Honorable in the House if truly the OGHA had not passed the FOI bill in the recent time, then we must continue to evolve and nothing can take away the card reader. All we should do is to readjust the process for effectiveness. We have Yemi Da Vinci. I like the Electoral Act reform. It's a step in the right direction. However, they should have allowed the amendment of the Constitution also. Then we have this from Juwonlo. If they remove tax clearance for election, why can't they stop using it for students seeking admission into TASWED also? That's it for the tweets and messages now. Keep them coming in. The short code dial 32120 it is. Type rock, you leave a space. Type your message, include your name, and send it to 32120. The Twitter handle at Rock City FM. The Facebook fan page, Rock City 101.9 FM.
All right, MP Johnson, the FOI, somebody wants to find out if it has been domesticated, not passed. It's the National Assembly that will.
Yeah, yes, that is it. I think I'm not here to just say what the Freedom of Information Bill. I don't think it has been I will check my record. I'll get back to. I don't really think something like that has been domesticated in Ogun State. Freedom of information. I don't
All
think.
right.
Okay, we have the tweet from Gafar Olusegun Ismaila. He says we should not resist change. The usage of card reader machine was an improvement during the last election.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the tele. You want to say something?
Yes. I think I've answered him. Yeah.
Okay.
The Gafar
Yes.
Olusegun
Okay,
question.
let's take calls. We reopen the lines. Hello.
Hello?
You agree that the use of card readers should be perfected. In the sense that I do not have confidence really in the electronic system because I feel our people could manipulate it to their own advantage. Number one. Number two, I am thinking on an electoral law, the issue of conducting local government elections in state should be reviewed. Because I see some state governors could even be going underground to manipulate the results of elections to their own advantage. Then, I am worried about this money politics. I believe as long as there is poverty with us here, we cannot have a good electoral process. We should now think of how to solve this problem. People are still give money. Once they start to give money, you vote in incredible candidates because of poverty. These are my submissions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we had more calls to 80809868734. Good morning.
Hello?
Thank you. Mr. Olakilani talk about manipulation, the local government election, and money politics. Yes. The manipulation thing is everybody's concerned, and it is one party today can be another party tomorrow. We are talking about the future of this country. We are talking about the electoral future of this country. We are not thinking about maybe one party presently ruling or the other. We are looking at everything holistically, and I think that is the point of man. When it comes to this issue of local government election, then until and until the INEC take over the conduct of election in the local government, I think we continue to have what we are having because I believe strongly that if it is election, there is no way under this set one party will win all the 20 local government in Ogun State or any other state in Nigeria for that matter. So, but the way it is now, until we are following the law, until we have a change in the law that has given it to the state to conduct election, we keep on having the same thing. It happened during the era of the last the political party in power. It is happening now. We are just saying that the same thing will not continue to repeat itself. So to Alaji Obitogun local government, yes, I want to state here that I'm a product of local government. I left the local government service in 2013, and it has been the local government system that made me. The issue being discussed here today don't really is a total thing, but I think it's going to be a discussion for another day. Local government system is not the way it's supposed to be because I was there, I saw it, and I know what it used to be than what it is now. But what we are trying to say in essence is that everything we are doing is a process. We cannot score 100% where you maybe fail in an area, you pass in an area until we get it right. So I'm not happy also the way the local government system it is now because most of the IGR that makes the local government are no more there. They have manpower as they have quality people in the local government as well as those in the state. They can match themselves experience for experience. Excuse me. But because of the way things are, there's an extent to there's a little we can do. And I am correct by saying I don't. You have your own opinion about this issue of a lawmaker not having business in a executing project. This is what they call this. They introduced this constituency allowance, constituency project, and whatever. During Baba Obasanjo's regime, and since that time has been there. But I want to tell you that if that constituency allowance is not given, what are you going to do? I cannot use my salary to dig borehole. I cannot use my salary to. So there's an extent to which a lawmaker can go. I'm not sitting on any ministry that can. So I'm just a lawmaker and I'm a lawmaker. And my business now is to make law. If tomorrow the constituency allowance is released to me, well, It is for the people. I'm not going to touch it. It is for the people. So that is exactly what I'm trying to say about that. Honorable Judge, I have to thank you, my brother. Thanks so much. I have to what your fear of the fear of rigging is what everybody is talking about too, because it is. I've said it here that until we get the people get hold of the system themselves, we still continue to have this problem we're having here, because everybody wants to win at all cost, and they want to do everything that humanly possible to make sure that they get there. And I think I'm not in support of that. If you are popular, as you have pointed out, you must go for election with a free heart. If people vote for you, it's about service anyway. It's about service. It's not it's supposed to be a do or die thing. So that is my own position too. So I have to thank you, Mr. Adeleke. You have not been able to
Yeah,
really
he will,
come.
hopefully
So
we'll
I have to
cover.
thank you. Maybe if you cover.
Let's add the messages.
Okay, we have this from our Facebook fan page, Adebayo Ayobami Camila Koride. The reform is a welcome development. The worry we'll harbor is the implementation. And once this is reassured, then we are good to go. Then for the messages, we have this from Cosmos. The present chaos is product of systemic collapse, which urgently requires people's constitution to remedy. The people's citizenry are challenged more than ever before to stand up to defend their sovereignty. That's from Cosmos. Then we have the next one from Tunji. Does it mean the state INEC will no longer conduct local government elections or what? Kindly expatiate on that. Then we, the electorate, are the problems. Politicians will come from Lagos. They share money and tell us they want to become governor. Does it mean we don't have capable hands in Ogun State to contest for that post? I pity our people. Mr. Suya Kunle sent in that one. If truly your job is to make law, why are you guys collecting constituency allowance? We are not ripe for electronic voting yet. I can't wait to see Nigeria of my dream, where our votes will be rarely counted without rigging. But the politicians will not like it because it does not allow for their fraudulent ways of reading. This is from Oludele Samson. Then for the tweets, Oladayo Joseph, I'm in support, but what measures has been put in place to check hackers? Surakat Abiodun, tell us why tax clearance should be excluded as criteria for election and demanded from students entering tertiary institutions. INEC should, as a matter of urgency, take over the conduct of local government elections in Nigeria to ensure transparency. Gafar Olusegun Ismaila, tax clearance certificate should be compulsory for all political aspirants. No tax clearance, no nomination form. Akorede Camille Adebayo, I feel the treatment given to the deputy in case of an aspirant dies after election is very unfair. The deputy stands to gain nothing. Sirakat Abiodun, the OGHA should ensure the FOI bill is domesticated in Ogun State for law for people to make constructive criticism without being witch hunted. Okay, that's it for the messages and tweets.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. Thank you for the messages. I think the only one that I think is what reacting to here is this student tax and whatever. I think no government is requesting for tax from the student. They bring the tax certificate of their own parents. So it's just to confirm whether their parents have paid their tax regularly.
Yeah,
Just to
I think that's what they are saying. They
so,
should stop asking their parents to
no,
show
to
tax
show
evidence of tax payment.
uh,
That's what that person
is trying to say. I think that should not be, because normally we know we are just. I've said it earlier that we are just looking at a way to capture to this.
Anyway, tax is a civic
It's a civic responsibility. You have people must pay tax. They must pay tax. Then the FYB built in the way I think.
No, you have said you
Yes,
let's go to this interesting one that I think.
Yeah.
Somebody sees it as an unfair treatment
Yeah.
to deputy governorship candidates because naturally, if the election has been declared, he moves up automatically to become the governor. But now, what the amendment is saying, he remains as deputy governor, and the fresh primaries should be conducted. What's your position on that?
My personal position is that I don't really support that, because as a deputy, it's a joint ticket to the governor that maybe. What about if it is the deputy governor that died? What happened?
It's still the same fresh primary that will be conducted.
So I think what I would have been, my own idea, personal opinion anyway, is that the deputy governor supposed to have been, should have been moved up.
But on this occasion, the deputy governorship candidate can also contest the primaries.
You mean
the primaries? If we have a situation like that, he can also go.
It's going to be double. See, if you have gone through the rigor of conducting election with a governor, and at the point something happened, and they now say you should go and start afresh again, and we know what election is everywhere in the world. So it's going to be
okay. We can still check 2 calls now. Let's permit 2 people, possibly those who we lost their calls on the line. If they are lucky, let's have you. Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I'm lucky.
Hello.
Wahid calling back.
Oh, Wahid. Okay.
One from Oloyede Ismail. I don't know why people get too sentimental and judgmental about issues. The gentleman in the studio had only echoed the position of the 1999 Constitution with regards to tax clearance as a precondition to participate in elections. The amendment is very good. The status quo is too cumbersome. Imagine an unemployed graduate seeking to serve his people but will be required to present 3 years tax clearance. Where will he or she get it from? Oloyede Ismail is asking that question. Then Yemi Da Vinci, we should have an INEC official in the house soon to tell us how the commission will guard against hired hackers like Russians.
All right,
thank you very much.
No, we have so many Nigerians who are very good. I won't be surprised if even the Russian hackers do not have Nigerian hacks.
Yes. In Nigeria, we are very good at all this. Yes. I have to thank my Mr. Wahid. His 3 positions. Is that the politicians are preponderant. Yes. If you say that the electorate also, we have to check ourselves. It's about all of us. It's a holistic. It's not about the system. We definitely produce the kind of person that we have. So I think that is about all of us, not the politicians alone. Then I cannot agree less on the issue of political office being made less attractive. I am in support of that because if it is about service, I think you don't just need to go there and make sure that okay, you want to go there and make money. But the thinking now is that when you are in a position of authority like this, if you are in government, everything is about you are going there to make money. And the electorate also are not even really helping matters because normally they are the one to tell you that okay, you have been there for so many years. What have you been able to bring back? Apart from that, all this demand every day from politicians also. If there must be a little way. I know politics means money, but at least there's an extent to which you can push somebody to come and give you what they don't have. So to settle the matter before the swearing, I cannot agree less also on the issue of making sure that all cases are settled before the swearing of any elected person, so that you cannot now use the advantage of the position you are in to maybe survive the judgment of the court. So I think all issues must be settled before people are. So I think I agree in total with that one too. So, Mr. Lawale Johnson, yes, I have to thank you too because that's exactly what I'm trying to say. You talk about the electorate also try to they have to play it low. We have to play it low and see that okay, we don't really push this politician to start digging their hands in what and in a bad thing because normally when there's this pressure you must take care of this, take care of that, and even the job you are even elected for sometimes will just be left undone and you'll be running scatter to make sure that you satisfy people. So I think we have to just all of us, both the politicians and the electorate, must at least check ourselves and say okay, whatever money you are giving today is not going to be, you can stand if you don't collect money tomorrow and say okay, what have you been able to do, what have you been able to achieve. I think due to the legislators, the question should have been, okay, how many laws have you been making to at least to better the laws of our people? What have you been able? What's your position in that? What have you been doing there? Rather than, okay, there are issues at home, you must settle to taking over the job of executive, the way it is now. And I want to assure somebody said the other time that the issue of constituency project, I have not collected a dime for constituency project since I got to this office about 2 years ago. So that is that about that. So I think Mr. Aloyede Smile has really spoken my mind about this has a issue that anything that is foreign to our constitutions should at least it is there that must prevail at the end of the day. So there must be a way to go around how to maybe ensure that people really pay their tax.
Okay, we
Thank
wrap
you.
it up with this messages. The problem of elections in this nation may not be so easy to overcome, no matter any system we make use of. He who pays the piper will always dictate the tune. People will not allow truth or sincerity to stand between them and overnight wealth, which is implanted in our polity. That is from Jiboye. And then this is from Shola. If deputies step into the shoes of governors at elections, many will die. Oh. That's from Shola. That's it.
All right. Quickly, let us just add this in one word. What is your position about those who are advocating that elected politician office holders should also resign if they want to recontest? Straight away, the governor should resign if he's recontesting. The president should resign if he's recontesting.
I think that should be, you don't go, the business of governance is a continuous something. There cannot be a vacuum. So if the governor is contesting, maybe the deputy also is contesting, and the speaker, everybody is contesting. So they will now vacate the governance, and who is going to take their position?
For a traditional ruler or the
No,
All right, that is where we will end the edition. Citizens from Daybreak Show. Today, I appreciate everybody that has been a part of for it since we started 7 a.m. God bless you all, and we must also thank our guests for coming and doing justice to the topic. Member of Parliament representing Yewa North 2. Yewa North 2 State Constituency in the State House of Assembly. Uh, Razak Oduton, I say big thank you.
Thank you too.
Well done. Well, Dele Ayodo is my name. I say God bless you all. God bless Nigeria. God bless Rock City.
And I am Chenya Igwa. Good morning.